Welcome to another edition of VAFA Tragics. Great to have your company for another week. I did say that we were going to have a division-oriented show this week. That will be next week, of course. I went a bit early on the bye, but all the same, looking forward to going through all of the action from the VAFA from round 15 as we welcome the panel. Nick Armistead, good evening to you.
Andrew, great to be here.
Magnificent to have you back this week, Brendan Mount. I'll tell you what, your position's in trouble.
I thought it was. Christian did a magnificent job. Just rotation policy. Just, you rest your best players just to get the business end of the year.
Missed your first show in 2 years. Not very good performance. Speaking of good performance, the Performance Players of the Week, and for the first time, it's only taken us 15 weeks, Nutrients Direct bringing us the Performance Players of the Week. Nick, if you want to kick us off with the Nutrients Direct Performance Player of the Week.
Would love to. Ben Gill from Eltham Collegians gets my Performance Player of the Week from Nutrients Direct. He started his dominance midway through last year and has not stopped. He bagged another 4 for the Turtles on the weekend in their win against the Unicorns, taking his total to 62 from 14 games this year, and they've only won 4 games, so fantastic effort by Ben Gill.
Brenton, who's your the Nutrients Direct Performance Player of the Week?
My Nutrients Direct Performance Player of the Week is Powerhouse Football Club, with their win on the weekend over Swinburne. Powerhouse was trailing Swinburne at quarter time, but kicked 12 of the next 18 goals to run out winners with a 7-goal final term to keep their finals hopes alive.
Roll the videotape because Nathan Legree has sold the biggest amount of candy possible. As you have a look here for Fitzroy as they pinched an unbelievable win over Monash Blues, sending the Roys to third spot. We'll cover it more when we look at Premier B in a second. But have a look at that bit of candy. We won't talk about the miss kick that found Max Allen, who went back and slotted the goal to put the Roys back in front out at the Monash Blues ground, the Freeran. But nonetheless, Nathan Legree, Performance Player of the Week, sensational effort. As we roll in to William Buck Premier Session action, we'll kick things off at Sports Cover Arena, where Old Trinity won their 4th game in a row against Old Melburnians. It was all pretty tied up at half-time with 3 goals each, but it was the T's third quarter where they came out and absolutely blitzed it. The first 3 minutes set the trend. Jack Hunt kicked a goal from 45 on the run, a great finish, and then Luther Jurek with this little intercept also kicked a goal on the run from 45 metres. It took OMs until 9 minutes and 30 into the third term before they managed to get it past the centre line, and this bit of play resulted in a goal. Albeit they're still in the game at this point, but a number of stoppages that were in the forward half of Old Trinity's ground at that end at Sports Cover, the main scoreboard end, led to more goals to Weatherson and co. And the T's ran out with a 4th consecutive win and still retaining that 2nd spot on the table. They're back, Trinity.
They are back. And they've fixed that missing piece, which was their third quarter. As we mentioned earlier on in the season, their third quarter was probably where they lacked, where they let themselves down. In the last 4 rounds, they've kicked 6, 5, 3 and 5, which is 34% of their total score. So it looks like they've put that to bed, and the premiership quarter is now probably their most dominant.
That OM's loss, which we spoke about last week on the show in terms of that loss to St Kevin's, where maybe it was a questionable decision in the goal square, puts them a game and a half outside of the top 4. Argue if they win that, or if they hang on in that game, they're only half a game out. But are their chances of making the finals gone, Brendan?
It's been their story of the year, but I think their chances are just hanging by a thread. They're flickering at the moment. I'm not going to write them off at this stage, but consistency has been their trouble this year, and unfortunately it's reared its ugly head again.
De La Salle find himself in the same predicament as OMs as their bad run continues, Nick, this time against St Bernard's.
They did, but St Bernard's good run continues. They've now won 3 in a row, and their bid to avoid relegation is looking pretty good as they sit just 1 win behind Collegians. The Snow Dogs made the most of the significant wind advantage to the scoreboard and outscored D-La 8 goals to 6 to that one end. It was all D-La though in the first quarter as they used the wind to go inside 50 18 times. But the St Bernard's defence, which was led by Tom Caven, who's come back after a few weeks out with injury, they held extremely strong and they kept them to just 2 goals from those 18 inside 50s. Much the same for the next 2 quarters, with D-La leading by 16 points at 3-quarter time, but 6 unanswered goals in the last term helped the Snow Dogs to a semi-blowout in the end. So things that I really took out of the game watching it: Bentic, Boyce and Tom Caven back in the lineup. Obviously, I know it sounds obvious, but it makes the absolute world of difference for the Snow Dogs as they look more and more like the premiership winning side from last year. It's interesting, it's only an 18-round season as we know, but on the back of the players they've got back and their form at the moment, if it was 22, I'd nearly back them to go all the way in terms of making the finals. D-La rely far too heavily on the Williams brothers to set up from half-back. They miss Indovino and Harrison structurally up forward. Tom Humphrey actually spent the first quarter up forward, and he's last year I think you gave him the centre half back.
Yeah,
position.
well, you need three Tom Humphreys, centre half back, full back, and probably one and forward, and he can pinch into the ruck as well. He's often third man up. Humphrey, he's a really important player for them. I'm not sure what's happened with De La Salle. I just want to take you up on St Bernard's. They couldn't win the flag again. I bet they've returned to some form and they're winning games, but I don't think they've got a finals makeup.
We saw it last year with Delo, remember?
Yeah.
With their run home, they just fell short. You ran out of all the momentum and emotion to get there.
Yeah,
and
a lot of this is just they're on a charge to maybe avoid relegation. I'm sure we'll address that in the
Yeah,
full question.
absolutely.
I don't think they've got the makings of a. If there was enough games to get into the finals, they wouldn't be good enough.
No, and
to,
I'm not
to-
saying
to
that.
win
I'm
the
not saying that.
finals.
I'm just saying if there was an extra maybe 4 games that I would back them to make finals. Not necessarily go all the way because I,
Okay.
like you, I think other teams are a bit stronger at the moment. But to make finals, the form they're in and the numbers they're getting back, the players and quality they're getting back.
Anyway, carry on. Sorry, I just wanted to pull you up on those ones.
No, just lastly, I just want to mention Tom Sullivan. He won't get the 3 votes from the game. That'll go to Adam Bentic. I'm not an umpire, but that will go to Adam Bentic. But Tom clearly re-injured his ankle in his 100th game on the weekend. And despite a hard tack by Brendan Close, still managed to kick 2 goals, including this unbelievable chase down tackle here on one of the quickest and most elusive players in Williambuck Premier, Sam Williams. And he goes back and he slots the goal and really seals it. 20 minutes gone in the 4th. So congratulations on the 100 game and on a great performance.
Yeah, superb chase down. Featured again on the VAFA Facebook page. Excellent coverage there, Nick, of that game. St Bernard's in the hunt. We'll cover that, whether they can avoid relegation in the 4 questions. Other results, Uni Blacks went about their business, and as they continue to try and lock down a spot in the 4 with a big win over Old Carey. Jordan Quayle with 4 goals, Dornoff with 4 goals, and Richardson also amongst the goal kickers there. Old Zavs, 6 in a row now they've won.
Just keep on keeping on, don't they?
And they sent Collegians packing, and Collegians some nervous times in the next few weeks as St Bernard's close in on them. That Lions versus Blacks game next week becomes a huge in 2 weeks' time, after the bye next week, becomes a huge contest.
It certainly does. With a fresh week off, Collegians, and they're going to be wanting to fight in the final 3 games of the year to avoid relegation, with St Bernard's nipping at their heels.
St Kevin's went down, their mini revival over after winning their last 2, went down to Uni Blues. Blues holding position on top of the table, doing great things at the moment, Uni Blues.
The 2 Premier B promoted sides, St Kevin's and OMs, have had a similar year. Consistency has been their problem. They're both making a late charge now, but unfortunately fell over on the weekend, and they've just left their run a little bit too late, I think.
But look at this though. Look at this goal from Paddy Hayes here. We saw one from Sam Cuss. Very similar from that same flank. And Uni Blues, they're flying at the moment. Everyone's chipping in. Structurally, they're looking very, very ominous.
Huge round of footy in 2 weeks' time in William Buck Premier section. De La Salle against St Kevin's is a massive game to see De La, if they can bounce back and get a win. Scobs probably need one more just to be 100% sure of safety, I think. Yeah. I don't think St Bernard's are going to catch them percentage-wise, though. So probably Scobs are safe with 28 points, but they could still make finals as well, St Kevin's. Collegians and Blacks, we mentioned what a huge contest that is. Old Trinity and St Bernard's. Trinity need to keep winning if they want to finish top 2, because Zavs against Old Carey, you probably suggest on form that Zavs are too good for Old Carey. So that means that they'll win, which means Trinity need to keep winning if they want the double chance. So they've got a big game against St Bernard's, and they're trying to avoid relegation. It's all happening in William Buck Premier. And Blues and OMs, if OMs are going to be any chance to make the 4, they probably need to pinch one in the next couple, and this is a good opportunity against Blues. It's a big time of the year with 3 rounds to go. We'll take a break from William Buck Premier and all the Premier sections, but we'll come back after the break and we'll review Premier B and Premier C right on VAFA Tragics.
Anytime is the right time to get fit at Anytime Fitness. Access over 400 gyms across the country 24/7 and discover why more Australians train at Anytime Fitness than any other gym. Go online and register now for your free 7-day pass and feel something better.
Welcome back to VAFA Tragics. It's time now for the headlines. Here's Nick Armistead.
Thank you, Andrew. Just a reminder, the Big V Club will hold its 10th annual lunch this Friday and celebrate the inductions of Peter Sherwin and Michael Devison as Big V champions. For more information and to purchase tickets which are still available, visit vafa.com.au. West Brunswick and Bulleen Templestowe's women's teams went head-to-head for the second time this season over the weekend, with the Bulleens coming out on top by 31 points. It was another fantastic game, played in great spirits, with Bulleen Templestowe's Laura Main receiving the Best On-Ground medallion for her dominant display. The third VAFA women's game to be played this season will take part next weekend between Swinburne University and West Brunswick. And of course, this is all ahead of the implementation of a women's competition in 2017. For a full report of the Bull Ants and Westies match, visit vafa.com.au. And just before we leave, congratulations to the St Kevin's Saints, who won their last match of the season against Fitzroy over the weekend and gave an almighty rendition of their theme song. Have a look at this. That's it for headlines.
Good on you, Nick. Time to move into Premier League. Great singing from the girls there at St Kevin's. I'm not sure where they pull their girls from, but obviously from local schools in the area. And I think there'll be a big announcement on that potentially women's competition next year in the VAFA this week sometime.
There will be. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned to all of the VAFA media outlets for that. On to Premier B. Brendan, you had a look at Old Scotch and Old Brighton, and we've picked this game just because of how Old Brighton are going. It's a great result for the Tunners, but not so good for the Cardinals.
It's been an amazing revival by Old Brighton, who got up over Old Scotch by 38 points at Camberwell Sports Ground. The Scotchies not going well at their home deck at the moment, and Old Brighton recorded 5 wins on the trot, and they're just storming to the end of the season. With Old Scotch, however, they may get 5 losses in their last 6 games, and they are absolutely limping at the moment. And I don't know if they're going to hold on. I don't know if they do make the finals. I don't know if they're going to give them much shape. But unfortunately for the Scotchies, and they were trailing by 6 points. Old Brighton at quarter time, where the Tunners nailed 9 of the next 12 goals, with Daniel Anthony with 3 and Michael Dewar with 2 and Petrus Oliver with 2 as well. I like that name, Petrus Oliver, leading the way on the scoreboard. Hamish Graham capped off a sensational month with a BAG for the Tunners, while Jack Bull toiled away for the Cardinals, who now sit 4th on the Premier B ladder, but they'll be licking their wounds down at Camberwell Sports Ground.
Brendan, we raised this last week in the big questions, whether, I don't think you were here for the show, but we raised whether Old Scotch could actually miss the finals. They couldn't.
They
the
could.
way the results are going.
Absolutely they could. They're not in form. They've got to recapture their early season form, which had them quite dominant actually early in the season, but they're struggling for answers at the moment, and they're going to have to find them quickly. 2
of the teams that could replace Old Scotch were on show together. Fitzroy took on Monash Blues at Monash, and it was the Roys that came away with the win. And we showed in the Performance Players of the Week the brilliant effort of Nathan Legree for the Candy. There it is again, just for those of you at home. But more importantly, Max Allen went back and converted the goal with about 3 minutes of play left. From that ensuing centre bounce, it was Monash who took the ball forward, spent a bit of time in the forward line before this free kick was paid to Alfred Oppie from about 25 metres, 30 metres out. So kickable range, albeit in the boggy conditions. He had no trouble making the distance, but just pulled the kick there, did Oppie, to give the chance to Monash. And Fitzroy rather, were able to hang on, and look at the reaction on the faces and of the Fitzroy players as they hang on at the final siren there. Thrilling scenes, and a result that sees the Roys up to 3rd. Monash equal points with Old Scotch, sitting outside on percentage, so they probably need to win more games. They're not going to catch the Cardinals' percentage, Monash Blues, but in the run home, it could be the Roys and Monash Blues playing in that first semi in 4 weeks' time. And in other games, Beaumaris beat Hampton Rovers. It probably puts pay to the Rovers' chances of avoiding relegation. They're 3 games in percentage away from safety at this stage. Obviously, mathematically they can still make it, but as soon as you do that, you're throwing things into doubt. And Parkdale Vultures had a good win over Ajax, while St Bede's Mentone Tigers beat Old Haileybury. And Old Haileybury, a year after winning the premiership, are also finding themselves in the relegation too. In Premier C, Nick, Williamstown was the surprise winner over Caulfield Grammarians.
They did. Williamstown put a 3-game losing streak behind them, trailing by 5 points at halftime. The CYs booted 10 goals to 5 in the second half as Mitch Parkinson starred with 5 of his own. Daniel Corman-Orr registered 2 and was named best of field for the CYs, while Declan Riley, who has been fantastic this season, kicked 3 for Caulfield. Look, the CYs have had to rejig their forward line structure this year with Nicky Abinger joining Williamstown VFL, but they've done it fairly well. They've had to share the load a bit, and they've had 4 goal kickers kick 17 or more. So that's how they're doing it. They're just out of finals contention at the moment, but they're doing well.
In other games, Q's finals chances are probably over. More importantly, Old Camberwell had a big win, which will help them with their relegation battles. Marsland also had a win, which will help them with their relegation battles, while Oakley succumbed to Old Ivanhoe, and the Nodders returned to the top of the table with a win over the Pirates. Moving on to the divisions. We missed you last week, Brendan. We're looking forward to hearing what happened in the divisions on the weekend.
Well, after a week off, we went relegation before my week off. Now we're going to go to the finals race. It's heating up. We're going to start with Division 1 with the 5th place St Mary's and 4th place Pegs. And St Mary's, after being on top of the ladder at round 10, having they fallen in a hole, they now sit 5th after round 15, 1 game shy of Pegs, who are in 4th spot. Now, the St Mary's came back to form on the weekend with a 59-point win over Brunswick, but that was following a 15-point loss to Parade at Ferndale Park. They don't usually lose at Ferndale Park. It was a bad loss, and losses to Therry Penola, Old Mantonians, and the Friars. Now, in the run home, St Mary's has Ivanhoe, Pegs, and Paran. Now, I think going in their favour, they face Pegs in the penultimate round of the year. They're the only top 4 side they face, so their fate is in their hands. Unfortunately for Pegs, they're going to have to either beat Therry, St Mary's and Old Geelong on the way home to absolutely secure their spot in the finals. It's going to be tough for Pegs, but I think they can do it. Unfortunately, St Mary's, they just have left their run a little bit too late, and they would have been crying down at Ferndale Park after being on top of the ladder around 10.
Disappointing result for St Mary's, Salesian, I think, because, I really like their chances early in the year.
I'll just touch on Yarra Valley and Melbourne High as well. In Division 2, it's very much the same. Yarra Valley holding on to 4th spot ahead of Melbourne High, who had a disappointing loss to Eltham on the weekend. And that win for Eltham makes them safe for relegation, with Richmond Central the only side being relegated from Division 2. They're winless for the year, unfortunately, for Richmond Central, but Eltham, with a little revival late in the year, has got them safe, along with Emmaus St Leo's. Now, for Yarra Valley, they sit 4th, as I said, a game clear. Their run home is Preston, Melbourne High as well, and Bulleen Temp. Now, I'll give them... I can't give him any of those games because Bulleen Temp was good on the weekend as well. So Melbourne High, unfortunately, I think they're the better side over Yarra Valley, but their little mid-season slump has left them with a little bit of work to do to make the finals. So it's going to be a tight run home in Division 2 as well. And also Parkside and Canterbury, very much the same. Canterbury have absolutely fallen in a heap since 4 wins on the trot at the start of the season. They have limped into 6th spot, and Powerhouse are absolutely flying. They're 3-2 in the last 5 weeks, and they could catch Canterbury this week, who they face at Powerhouse.
Yeah, Canterbury injuries have really ravaged their season, so disappointing result for them this year. That's it for divisions?
That's the division report after a week off.
Good on you, Brent. On to the 4 questions. I think I'm going to open the batting this time, which is interesting. To you, Brenton, just speaking about the divisions, the VAFA, they announced a couple of weeks ago about the shake-up with the relegation, 3 going down from Division 3. Have they been vindicated by the decision?
They certainly have. With Aquinas, Elstonwick and Parkside will be the relegated sides. Now, they've got 6 wins between them, so they're not travelling fantastically for the year, and they have made the right decision. And it's a good one. So you even out the competition with 10, 10 and 10. It's the best way to do it. Can Old Brighton make the 4?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. They're 1 win from the top 4 at the moment. They've got Monash, Blues, Beaumaris and Old Haileybury. So 2 of them are going to be particularly difficult. But they've also beaten in the last 4 or 5 rounds Old Scotch, Fitzroy and St Bede's. All teams that have been in the top 4 at one point or another recently. Not to mention they get all their schoolboys back. Congratulations to Old Brighton School that they won the APS Championship. They'll get Alex Mastromano back. He's a favourite on this panel. They'll get some of those boys. Harry Hill's a young bloke. He's already playing his star. And Tom Fisher, he's a Grilled Rising Star nominee. They're looking very good. They can definitely make it.
You're doing a better impersonation of Demi Brereton every week with your 4 kids.
I try. Andrew, I'm going to you. Is a flag all it's cracked up to be?
It's a silly question. Of course, it's all it's cracked up to be. We all play for premierships, but I'll just throw this at you. St Bernard's won the premiership in William Buck Premier last year, and they're currently in 9th. The game from safety in the relegation battle. Old Haileybury also in 9th. They're currently 2 games from safety in the relegation battle after winning a Premier C flag. In Premier B, they're struggling. And Old Paradians struggled for the first half of the year, having won a flag. They're in 8th, but they are, however, probably 2 games clear of 9th position.
Late season form has seen them safe.
Yeah, exactly right. But it was a silly question, but we like it all. Speaking of St Bernard's, though, can they avoid relegation, Nick?
They can. It will be difficult, but they can. They've got Old Trinity University Blacks, which will be at the Snake Pit, and St Kevin's in their run home. But as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about St Bernard's, Bentick, Tom Caven, Boyce, all back. And the ever-improving, I didn't mention him earlier, he's a fantastic young ruckman, Zacho Halloran. He shares the ruck duties there with Sean Clark, and he's playing fantastically at the moment. I think the way they're playing at the moment is very reminiscent of last year. Not up to the standard, but very reminiscent, and they could definitely, and I think they will avoid relegation.
For Collegians? Or?
Yeah, who's going to be in the zone if they're not? Oh, put them on the line. You made a
Collegians or St
statement.
Kevin's?
I think it's out. I think it's out of Collegians and St Bernard's for that 9th spot.
Fair
There you
enough. Very good.
Oh.
And you're saying St Bernard's will be out safe.
I think that they can be. And also, they re-signed Mark Riley last week for another year.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't feature in the headlines.
Did last week.
Good on you, Nick.
Thanks, Andrew.
Brenton, good to have you back.
I like that shirt.
Thank you very much. We'll see you again next week on the Tragics.